Donald Trump is dead? Apparently, that was a rumor that quickly spread on social media, particularly X. The rumor initiated during Asian time zone, most likely in India. And it seems that in India, they are not happy with Donald Trump because of the tariffs imposed, and in solidarity with President Modi, who is traveling to China. But it seemed true. And as Americans woke up in the morning, the first news that was made available to us was that Trump is dead, Donald Trump is dead, and many memes were shared, including a ghost of Donald Trump and a Simpsons Donald Trump cartoon in a coffin. Much later, during the mid-morning, a photograph of Donald Trump going to Virginia Golf Club with his granddaughter was made available, but by that time everybody had already reacted to Donald Trump dead fake news. Most people in the planet agreed that Donald Trump dead would be beneficial to their countries, including the United States. Donald Trump does not seem to be a well-liked person in the United States or in the international community. Most people were relieved and looking forward to next chapter of J.D. Vance's presidency. The most viral posts received millions of likes and retweets, and much after Donald Trump was shown alive, people still wanted him to be dead. During the rest of the day, we could see social media posts such as, "Even if he is alive, I will continue liking any post stating that Donald Trump is dead." There was hope that war of the United States against Venezuela and Iran would be averted with Donald Trump dead, as the United States would be prepared to funeral arrangements. During recent days, J.D. Vance appeared on national television suggesting that Donald Trump could die at any time, and Vice President J.D. Vance stressed out that 200 days of job training in vice presidency have given him enough preparation to become United States Commander-in-Chief. Comparisons were also made between Donald Trump, bruised hands, and late Queen Elizabeth II hands just before dying, which also showed the same illness. Psychologists from across the planet insisted that Donald Trump's mental decline is evident, and most users of social media were convinced that Donald Trump was dead because he didn't tweet or appear on videos during the last few days, while having vacant appointments throughout Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Donald Trump has a personality of supposing that he is the best and the most liked person on earth, and now he has beaten the Guinness World Record of the person most people would like to see dead right now. It was hilarious to see that Donald Trump administration staff privately said that they expected Nicolas Maduro to come in a coffin or in a red bag because of imminent war against Venezuela, while the next day it was actually Donald Trump, the one who was supposed to be dead. A potential death of Donald Trump would deprive Maria Corina Machado from the only guarantees she has to remain delinquent within Venezuela without getting jailed, as she continues to support foreign invasion against her own country. If Donald Trump is dead, it would be unlikely that she could remain in hiding during much more time, and she would probably have to engage in a negotiation process with the Venezuelan government so that she quickly exits the country, flying on a guacamaya or through some agreed upon form that could allow her to join the rest of her staff in the United States or other countries hostile to Venezuela, as she refuses to leave a country she continuously betrays. Meanwhile, the situation of possible war of the United States against Venezuela remains in a standoff or stalemate. Venezuelan armed forces continue being deployed, and the United States ships continue being deployed towards the Caribbean region. However, there have been no war incidents yet. Situation has reached a plateau of escalation, and this welcome social media fake news of Donald Trump dead provided a much needed relief of tensions, as citizens of both United States and Venezuela were rejoicing the possibility of an unexpected end to a war that hasn't even started yet. Meanwhile, the spokeswoman for the Russian Foreign Ministry, Maria Zakharova, has expressed in writing the full support of the Russian Federation to Venezuela's territorial integrity, warning the United States not to continue unauthorized warships visits into Caribbean waters close to Venezuela. Marco Rubio was seen in Florida providing instructions to the United States Southern Command, and he is expected to join President Claudia Sheinbaum in Mexico, which would probably dictate terms on red lines that Mexico will instruct the United States not to surpass. The United States is desperate of signing agreements with Mexico and Ecuador, and President Claudia Sheinbaum will not sign anything different than what she has said from the very beginning, that all countries must be sovereign, and Mexican Constitution provides for non-intervention and peaceful resolution of conflicts between nations through political means. Polymarket bets showed a peak of 14% probability of Maduro being ousted during the year 2025, and the figure is already reverting to only 10%. That means that 90% of polymarket traders believe Nicolas Maduro's government will prevail in power. Attention has been provided to the hypothesis that the United States could provoke war against Venezuela without requiring congressional approval due to a peculiar definition of terrorism that has been proposed by the executive leadership of the United States without having provided adequate proof to the international community. Meanwhile, Ukraine is on the verge of losing Kiev capital, as other regions have already been lost. The Azov battlefields that were supposed to be elite have been exterminated, and the last remaining ship of the Ukrainian Navy has been drowned. Lots of casualties in Kyiv were attributed by faulty Ukrainian strategies and tactics. Once Ukraine is totally defeated, Russia will be able to redeploy its armed forces into the Caribbean to counteract United States aggression against Venezuela, which is a strategic ally of Russia. In the long term, the United States capabilities of its armed forces are threatened by the use of made-in-China parts and chips throughout high-technology aircraft and Navy vessels, which are made in the United States with Chinese components, as it happens in every single other American industry. China's restriction to export rare earth minerals to the United States is providing panic to United States military, as there is not an abundant supply of raw materials needed to prepare for a new war. Venezuelan factory of ammunition was inaugurated with the help of Russia earlier this year, 2025, and it is producing ammunition needed for Venezuelan rifles. Rifles will be needed once the United States Marines make land incursion into the country and the guerrilla warfare starts. Russia has pledged to supply an additional cargo of ammunition sufficient for full-scale battles during the following 12 months. Venezuela is also aware that the United States is planning bombings to selected portions of Venezuelan territory for which it is needed that our defense shield is adequately supplied with missiles and drones capable of interfering with any enemy intrusion. The Venezuelan defense shield will be protected and upgraded within the next few days, weeks, and months. Allocation of public funding to other areas of the economy in Venezuela will be made available for war and usual transfers of money that were often received by industries led by people who want to overthrow the government will no longer receive those funds, as according to Macroeconomics 101 college courses, there is the opportunity cost between guns and butter, and the United States is forcing Venezuela to choose guns. Cooperation with Colombian President Gustavo Petro continues as solid as ever. Gustavo Petro no longer cares if the United States puts a price tag on him to send him into a United States jail. And the question is if Gustavo Petro will also be worth $50 million, or perhaps the price tag for his capture could be lowered. This is a highly speculative terrain, as there is no solid evidence beyond the usual mumbling of lunatic Cubans in Congress, such as Maria Elvira Salazar and Carlos Jimenez, who tend to over-criminalize Latin America's leadership. Washington Post and Wall Street Journal articles have been extensively covering the possible war between United States and Venezuela, and they are rooting for such war, as they have already bought the narrative that Venezuela produces or distributes drugs, even though the United Nations has conclusively determined that most drug routes occur through the Pacific Ocean, while the Caribbean Sea does not feature significant movements of drug trade. And of course, Venezuela has absolutely no relationship whatsoever with fentanyl. Even though pro-war establishment media of the United States would like to provide resources and business opportunities for the military-industrial complex machine, they are asking Donald Trump to send sufficient troops. It is global consensus, both in United States and Venezuela intelligence communities, that an operation consisting of less than 100,000 Marines and several millions or billions of dollars of war investment would be needed against Venezuela if they had any chance to succeed, as it is becoming increasingly clear that even setting foot into the country would not guarantee any Maduro surrender. The journal articles consulted stressed the fact that, according to their sources, Venezuelan opposition claims that Venezuelan military would stop obeying orders of Maduro and would start obeying the orders of the United States enemy intruders. Every single recognized political organization in Venezuela deplores war and is convincingly in support of President Maduro efforts to defend our sovereignty, because Venezuela must be respected. The Venezuelan opposition has obtained seats at the National Assembly, one governor in the state of Cojedes, and several mayors in cities across the country, while the extremist, fascist organizers of invasion are violating Venezuelan penal code, which strictly provides imprisonment penalties to anyone supporting foreign invasion in 15 different categories, which are explicitly provided in Venezuelan penal code through articles 128 through 143. Venezuelan penal code is available on Organization of American States website. Extremists and fascists have no representation in Venezuelan government or opposition, as they made the wrong decision to call for abstention. Therefore, nobody voted for them. Therefore, they don't represent anyone. Opposition leaders such as Enrique Capriles have shown videos stressing that Venezuela has always been a country of peace, supporting peace within the Caribbean, South America, and North America, and the most desirable scenario would be to organize a summit between Presidents Donald Trump and Nicolás Maduro as soon as possible, so that the escalation of this unwarranted conflict begins to settle down misunderstandings between the peoples and governments of the Americas.